Dear friends, I hope you can hear me completely clearly. I hope everything's fine with my video. Um, what we decided to do today was something that we haven't done for a very long time. I haven't done a live YouTube video for a very long time. But the purpose of doing it today is to bring in some sort of a balance in the kind of narrative that you hear everywhere around you these days. I'm talking about immigration. I'm talking about updates. I'm talking about what is going on in the political climate around immigration right now. And I want to talk about what is going to be happening in the next few years, few months, and what to expect. Now, the difficulty with all of this is that we have only one side that is making all the noise right now. You know the side I'm talking about, you know the people I'm talking about. So we have an immigration activity going around the country with only one side involved, and that is the side that completely opposes immigration. And my purpose of talking today is we were talking about it earlier. Why did we decide to do this now? The purpose of deciding it now is because I heard the new Home Secretary talking about that. Talking about ILR, before that, Mr. Farage has obviously spoken about ILR. Our Prime Minister has spoken about ILR and what to do with that. Now, ILR is, for those who don't know, for the uninitiated in immigration, ILR is indefinite leave to remain. The purpose of ILR is to confirm that you are now exempt from immigration control, that you can continue to live in the UK without fear of your visa being revoked or running out, and you do not need to renew it every once in a while, 6 months or 2 years or 2.5 years or whatever. So that's the purpose of ILR. The way you obtain ILR, we are going to talk about that today. What the Home Secretary has said, which really got me, and why I wanted to speak about it, is because the concept that has been used in this speech by the Right Honorable Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood was that you can't expect just to be granted ILR, you must earn it. Now, that is what really stepped on my tail. I did not like that because I've been involved with immigration for the past 22 years. I've been dealing with this hands on with my team and know exactly what kind of difficulties come in, what kind of problems come in when we're talking about immigration, ILR, we're talking about leave to remain in the UK, how difficult it is for somebody to get it. And to simply dismiss it by saying, we must create a situation where people now have to earn it, and it shouldn't be so easy. Let me first of all say what it is that you need to do for ILR currently. Number one, you need to make sure that you are meeting any financial requirements. For example, if you're talking about a spouse visa, we're talking about you meeting the £29,000 income requirement. Previously, it used to be £18,600. Now it is £29,000. So what you need to show is that you're earning over £29,000 a year, which in turn confirms that you are able to support and look after yourself without recourse to public funds. This without recourse to public funds means what? For again, those people who do not know how it works, it simply means that you are saying you cannot take benefits. Recourse to public funds means public funds are benefits. Recourse to public funds that you cannot have access to public funds. So immigrants, when they come to the UK, when they've applied for a visa to come as a skilled worker, to come as a spouse, to come as a dependent, to come as anybody in the UK who has not got indefinite leave, they do not have access to public funds. This is a clear understanding that every lawyer has, that everybody who deals with law has. So this narrative that immigrants come to the UK and they take all our benefits and they take all our support structure, that is completely wrong. They are not allowed to do so. There can be a change of circumstances application. We have done those applications many times for people. I did the one most recently I did was where a husband and wife and their three children came to the UK. The wife passed away from breast cancer, and the husband was in charge of the three children that were there with him. The children were all under 10 years of age. Now, before then, they had been working, supporting themselves, they had been paying their taxes, they had been looking after themselves without any recourse to public funds. But now the man had to take care of his three children who had nobody else to take care of them. So they made an application for a change of circumstances, saying that he can no longer afford to take care of the children on his own. So he wanted to go part time instead of full time. Even then, he was working. Whatever he could do, he was doing, but he got his acceptance from the Home Office, allowing him to have some benefits so that he could contribute towards his children's well being. So, this is not something that is allowed to everyone. Second thing, when we talk about indefinite leave, you must not have any criminality. What is criminality? If you have a warning, if you have a reprimand, if you have a conviction from the court, if you have been charged with an offense, any of those will invalidate your claim to indefinite leave. Which means that if you've had any kind of run-in with the police or with the law, you are not able to apply for indefinite leave because you do not satisfy the good character requirement. Already there. Thirdly, time wise, what are we talking about? Can somebody just come in and spend 5 years and then can get indefinite leave? Absolutely not. They have to spend those 5 years making sure that all of the requirements attached to their visa status are continuing over that 5 year period. Otherwise, they will not be able to apply for indefinite leave. So, again, the requirement of that time is there already. It's just 5 years, not 10 years. Then we talk about the English language. They have to pass an English language test at level B1. B1 CFR, whatever that is the framework of European language where they explain to you what level of English you need to speak. So just to put in context, A1 level is the most basic level. So you want to go buy milk, you want to go buy a ticket for a train or something like that. You go, I want milk, I want ticket, Birmingham, something like that. You want to say that, you say that, and that is A1 satisfied. This is the B1 level that you need to show that you have attained by the time you're applying for indefinite leave. So when you came to the country, you had to satisfy the A1 level requirements. Then once you are in the country and you want to apply for indefinite leave, you need to show that you speak English fluently. You can read, you can write, you can speak English, and you are able to understand English. So all that is already there. Then we talk about benefit. Well, we've talked about benefits, we've talked about the income requirement, we've talked. Then you have the life in the UK test that you have to do as well. Again, the life in the UK test is all about the history of the United Kingdom. It's not just about what's happening currently in the country, it's about the history. You need to know what has been happening in the past, what has been happening in the history, the kings and the queens and the wars and this and that. All of that they will need to go through, and only then they are able to pass the life in the UK test. Routinely, people fail this test because it is a tough test. And what is said about this is that if you ask the general public, you just go out, you ask the average Joe if they know those questions, they will not know those. So you have to actually study for those questions, and then only you are in a position that you're able to answer this. So these are all the requirements that already exist for indefinite leave to remain. English requirement, your financial requirement to be met, your time that you have spent in the UK, the fact that you have passed the life in the UK test, the fact that you've not had any recourse to public funds, all of those things come in. So only then, once you have done all of this, and then of course there are requirements about not having too many absences from the country as well. So it's not that you come here, you apply for a visa, you get your visa, then you go off wherever you were living before, and then come back a year later and say, well, I'm back, I'll spend some more time here, then I'll go away again, and I'll come back after a year, and then I'll spend some more time. It doesn't work like that. If you have spent outside the UK a certain number of days per year, then you will not be able to apply for indefinite leave. That is, again, a very important factor to consider. So all these things put together, indefinite leave is not easy in the UK. So this is one thing that I wanted to absolutely clarify. Now, where I disagree and I did not appreciate what the Home Secretary said was that you can't expect to just be given. Just be given? All of this is just be given? It's not. So that's the first thing. Secondly, the 5 to 10 year increase. You are talking about professionals. You're talking about people who are highly skilled. You're talking about people who are very talented, who want to go somewhere in their lives, who want to serve communities, who want to serve countries, who want to have different kind of things that they bring into their lives and into other people's lives. And then you're saying that they need to be in the country for 10 years before they are able to call this home. Why is that? It just I mean, my question is, why is 5 years not enough, and why does it have to be 10 years? Never in the history of immigration, as far as I know, has there been a requirement of 10 years to complete to get indefinite leave, unless you're on discretionary leave. Discretionary leave in the UK, that's a concept where you do not fall within the immigration rules, but there are certain circumstances under private life. For example, if a child has spent a certain number of years in the UK and then wants to settle here, or if somebody is married to someone and they've had a long life together, or they have insurmountable obstacles to going to their countries or things like that. Those are the factors where you're granted leave under a discretionary basis. And then instead of 5 years, you have to complete 10 years already. This is the law already that I'm talking about, and has been in place since 2012. 9th of July 2012, the whole of immigration rules were given an overhaul. And that is where this thing came in, that you would be placed on a 10-year route to settlement. So those people who applied in 2015 and got this visa are still paying the Home Office fees to get this. Another thing I want to say here, and which is again very important that people don't realize and don't understand, you have to pay an immigration health surcharge and the Home Office fee for every time you apply for an extension. And you know how much that is? £3,908 currently per person. Let's say it's roughly £4,000. For a family of four who are applying for an extension after 2.5 years on a 10-year route to settlement, they have to pay almost £16,000 in order to get that extension for 2.5 years. Most of the clients that I know take loans, pay the fees, get their status, keep working for the next 2.5 years, pay off that loan, and then by the time it's almost paid off, or they're planning on applying for an extension, it's time to get another loan. That is how they're living their lives. So this whole narrative about immigrants bad, immigrants horrible, immigrants take everything, immigrants just take, it's not right. There is a 5% of the entire immigrant population in the UK. This is what I understand from doing my research on it. 5% people come on boats. 5% are the people who illegally enter the country. And those are the people that are made too much noise about, or most of the noise about. When Mr. Farage is talking, he's talking about the boats. When anybody else is talking, oh, these boats, these asylum seekers, these are. Not everybody is an asylum seeker. Look at your hospitals. Look at your pharmacies. Look at your schools. Look around you. Look around us. Look around everywhere that you are. How many people you see who are immigrants? It doesn't mean that they're all just taking everything from you. They are giving much more. If you look at the number of what a local UK born British national has as net contribution to the UK, you know how much that is? Nil. You know how much an immigrant contributes during his lifetime? At least £28,000 during the lifetime of his immigration status. That's what we're talking about. So when we talk about these immigrants coming in and taking everything, you got to understand what the whole narrative is. And this is the whole point of today's conversation. I know I've spoken a lot more than I was expecting to initially, but I thought it's good to put this in perspective. What we are doing today, the idea of today's voice is to get a voice out there and get you people involved so that we can talk about what the other side of this immigration debate is. It can't be just one-sided bashing every time. It's like you put a person in a boxing ring and tie up their hands and close their put a tape around their mouth and say, you cannot speak, you cannot defend yourself, and I will keep on punching you. So that is what Mr. Farage and co are doing. They are simply punching without getting the answers from the other side. And I want to make sure that people like me, who have been in the industry, who have been in law, who have been in immigration for over 2 decades, who understand how this works, want to bring this clarity out, that it's not as it's been presented to you. Not every asylum seeker, or not most asylum seekers, are given iPads or iPhones or cars or whatever the hell else is being spoken about. That is complete rubbish. The hotels that they stay in, those are accommodations. I've always said, don't put them in a hotel accommodations. When you talk about asylum seekers who come to the UK, what are they saying? I've always said this to my clients as well, that if you are running away from persecution, if you're running away from a threat to your life, even if you're told this is a table, stay under the table and you'll be safe, I think you'll be quite happy with that. And most of them will agree that, okay, as long as I have some place to have shelter, I'm all right. And that is the thing that we need to remember. We are not talking about these people coming in and suddenly being given or rolled out a red carpet and being given cars and phones and iPads and mansions and things like that. That is complete rubbish. None of that is true. If you look at their accommodation, if you look at where they're what they're given to eat, what families are forced to live on, you will not want to have that on your own family. This is how it is. You can't live off tin food all the time. You can't live off scrapes that are given to you. And that is exactly how they live. But that is not something that I want to defend or talk about. I wanted to talk about this fact that we are demonizing the immigration population on the whole. I spoke yesterday about a topic, well, the same topic I was talking about, and I mentioned something about the asylum, no, not the asylum, the abuse in immigration. What's happening there? When we talk about these small boats, who is bringing them? These are people being brought in by smugglers. Who are those people that are coming into the country? Of course, these are migrants who are either running away from war or famine or any other kind of problems. And of course, there will be others who are also looking to have a better economic life for themselves. When we talk about those, these are young men who are of what did they say, of fighting age. Why can't we call them young men of working age? Why is there a distinction? Why do we immediately say fighting age? That is not right. These are people who are coming to the UK or other countries. And by the way, again, look at the statistics. UK has a small part of immigration population that is coming here. Look at all of Europe. Other European countries have a lot more people going over there. Again, these are numbers, these are statistics. I don't have them on my fingertips. Otherwise, I would have given to you those numbers. But I know for a fact that UK is not the highest number of the highest recipient of immigrants coming into Europe. There are other countries which are taking a lot more. But that is again not the point. The point is the stopping the demonizing of immigration. That is where I have a problem. Now, when we talk about abuse, look at care worker visas these days. This is something which is a hot topic. Any immigration lawyer, any immigrant, any immigration forum is talking about this. What happened there? There is an acute shortage of care staff in the UK. There is an aging population. The indigenous population is an aging population, and there are people required who come and care for them. Look at your relatives. Look at who's caring for them. Are they all white British people looking after them who were born and brought up here? Or are they people from somewhere else in the world who take care of them, who feed them, who clean them, who bathe them, who change their diapers, who change their bedding, who give them food and medication on time? These are all people coming from other parts of the world. These are carers, the doctors that they go to, the nurses that are treating them and taking care of them. These are all people who are coming from outside, the vast majority of those people. But when we talk about all of this, we are again just demonizing immigrants by saying everybody is like that. No, there are people who will pay for coming into the UK. There are people who will say, get me a fake passport, a fake visa. I want to go to the UK. Economic migrants. Yes, there are there. But if there's 3 out of 100, do you paint the rest of the 97 with the same brush? That's ridiculous. We talk about care workers coming to the UK. Vast majority are genuine care workers. And what has that done? That has given an opportunity to people, smugglers, to look at this and say, well, hang on a second. This is an immigration system that doesn't look beyond certain things. So let's make use of it. So what's happening? people are being charged thousands and thousands of pounds, where they sell their land, they sell their jewelry, they sell their cars, they sell whatever assets they have, just to get the money together, with the promise that you will go to UK, you will be given a job, you will be given a visa where you can live and work for the next 5 years, as long as you're working and playing by the conditions and you are paying your taxes. After 5 years, you'll be able to apply for indefinite leave. What happens instead? They come here and then they find out that the agent that processed their visa lied to them. There is no real job. They are being told, well, you need to work, you need to pay your taxes, and then after 5 years, you'll be able to apply for indefinite leave, which is complete rubbish. Now, what happens to that person or that family that has paid that money to come here? And by the way, the money that we're talking about, again, immigration health surcharge as well as the home office fees. Those are what are the bulk of the fees or bulk of the money that is paid. In care worker applications, there is no immigration health surcharge to be paid. So what happens is that those agents make a lot of money out of them. And that is why, because they say we're providing you a service. We found you a job, we found you an employer, we've got the visa sorted for you, so we are going to charge this money. Now, in some cases, granted, and this is again, we're having an intelligent conversation here. That's why I'm saying this. In some cases, there will be people who know what they're doing, that they're paying somebody to get a fake job, which is not something that they will have available when they come to the UK. But vast majority of cases, people are promised a job, people are promised a visa, and they know that they're going to come here, they're going to have to work very hard, and only then they will be able to get those visas sorted. And that's how they will be able to apply for indefinite leave. Now, if we say everybody's like that, everybody is dodging the system, everybody is maneuvering the system, then it's completely wrong. And that is completely unfair as well. So, this is the narrative that I wanted to set right today. Now, of course, initially we had set a time for 30 minutes. Sophia, can we extend the time?
Not by that much longer.
Not by that much longer, okay? Because I wanted to speak to some people as well. So let's see if we can do so. I can see there are lots of comments going in, but if you are all going to be writing questions that I need to answer, then as you can imagine, it's impossible for me to talk and to be reading those questions. What I wanted to do was actually bring in somebody who wanted to have a conversation about general immigration. Do we have somebody like that?
We have a few people. Let's take a break, 5 minutes, and we can reconvene with some invitations.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do that. I don't know how the break is going to work. So please bear with us if something funny appears on the screen, but let's see how this goes. So what do I press?
Yes. Press that.
You will no longer be live.